Welcome, Ian. So you're a sound effects supervisor. I wonder if maybe you could just tell everyone roughly what it's about and then maybe some advice.
Okay, so yep, I put sounds on films, noises. I add noises to films. Um, a car chase sequence, say the cars on the day are recorded, but they're not very dramatic, and I add extra engine sounds and skids, and if there's gunshots. So it's all those extra noises to make the experience more dynamic
Right.
on top of what the dialogue that was recorded. So ambiances, whether it's raining, crowds in a theatre. I just bring the the all world to life.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have atmospheric effects, but then you have spot effects.
Yeah. So background sound. So we're sitting in a room and say we've established that we are by a road. So then I will lay down all the car tracks for the road outside, but we're staying inside with the two actors, and you just hear what's out of the window. So ambience world is more about what's beyond the screen.
Right.
I mean, if you can visually see rain, I will add extra rain and make it very dynamic. But a lot of my work in ambiences are things out of the window that you don't really see, the birds tweeting or thunder, all of those sort of things. And then the spot effects are the door sounds. Every door that you hear in a movie will have had another sound laid on top as well as what was recorded on the day. A lot of film sets are fake, the doors are not real, and so we add real sounds of doors and we add real sounds of cups and all sorts, typing on a computer. Um, and then you've got the more dramatic sounds like punches. The actors in real life in a fight sequence are not hitting each other, thankfully. Occasionally they have an accident. Um, and we add the extra punches and the big crunch sounds, and they hit them with a piece of wood. The wood is only polystyrene or fake, and so we add the big smack sound. So yes, it's a very enjoyable job.
Right. And I imagine it's very different as to how you mix it, whether it be for the TV or the cinema.
It seems to be merging because television these days is very like cinema. They're very dramatic shows. Um, so you still try and lay up dynamic sounds, big sounds. So he a picks up a knife in a TV show. We'd still add the shing as he picks the sound of the knife up. You want to make that sound of the knife dangerous. Exactly the same in a movie. The only difference being it will be played at slightly different levels in television as it would in the film.
Right. And I suppose when you record the zing, you have control of the volume compared to dialogue, etc.
Yeah, exactly that. Yes, and also within that recording of that blade sound, we would try and add other elements, make it sound sharper or softer, depending on where we are in the drama of the piece. So there's lots of elements that are layered together. Um, but the sound, we try and make it big sounds for TV and film. I don't really change the amount. We have more speakers to play with in the cinema
Right.
than we do on television, so we may do more work in the atmospheres than we would on film, than on a television show. But the spot effects are pretty much the same.
Great. And now, with your experience, Ian, if you can picture yourself as somebody who wants to enter the film business, have you got any kind of advice? Because obviously technology and everything has changed.
So you have to know Pro Tools. There are other systems. Paul and I both had worked on other systems, and we come from a world of analog where it was all on film.
Yeah.
So there was no computers. But the system that settled and became the basis for all of our work is a Pro Tools system on Mac or PC. I'm working with a chap, ex-film student now, who's a PC person. He's probably one of five people in England working on a PC and his Pro
Okay.
Tools. but all the software is the same. The plugins all seem to work on both. Um, yes, getting to know that. I know maybe commercial houses use DaVinci or Premiere Pro, but not in the world of mainstream film and television. Certainly in Great Britain, it's all on Pro Tools.
Right. So try and get your brain wrapped around the technology.
Yes. Yeah, even if you can get a free version of Pro Tools. And once you've known that, the job's the same, whether you're working on Mission Impossible or whether you're working on a short film. It's the same process of sound editing, putting sounds on film. There's no, there's just a different scale. So you have more money, so you have more people on Mission Impossible. You'd be doing more yourself on a smaller film.
Right.
Um, but the process, the layout, the software, once you know it, is the basis, and it's the same.
Right. And I think what most people don't realize, like we do, Ian, is when the director with the editor make several cuts in the film, how it affects us and how many at
Yeah.
times hundreds of tracks you've got to alter to fit the picture now.
Yes. So a lot of we have a few weeks where we're creative and we're putting sounds in the film, the version that we're working to, and then the director sends you another version of the film where they've changed things. So
Right.
the car chase might be longer, it might be shorter, usually shortening, tightening up. So you then have to go through and resync all your sound effects, all your stack of cards that fitted your previous version. You have to now reconform, it's called reconforming, to the new version. So even if they take a frame out, one frame out in the middle of the sequence, then everything past that one frame out is out. Your version will be out of sync by one frame, and
Right.
so you have to reconform back to the new version of the film. And that can happen multiple times as you go through. So it's not a creative job at this point. It's just keeping parallel with the cutting room, with the director and
That's
the
right. Because often isn't it the case where you've created the soundtrack, but every day you go to a different track. So you're chasing your tail just to keep conforming.
and you're not doing any creative work. You're just
Exactly.
trying to keep in sync.
Exactly.
Um,
And is some of that automated?
yeah, so there are software that does an initial chop of all your sounds, and then you have to go through and repair. Two car sounds might suddenly crash into each other, which were fine before. You have to just repair, fix broken bits, fix random bits that shouldn't be there anymore. But you have the software that does the initial chop for you. So thankfully, it's
Yeah.
a horrible job doing it manually. But that's just one of the processes. And then as soon as that's done, you're back to being creative again, which is great. That's a bit
Excellent.
we like.
And so I imagine with the effects, you have to balance it with the Foleys.
Yeah, I track lay. It's called track laying, putting sounds on films. I track lay my room in my studio here as if it's my film, and so I balance things possibly slightly loud for effects, but I'll have the dialogues playing out of the machine. I have music, although it may be guide music because the composer may not have done his work yet.
Right.
And so, and we have Foley that will come in eventually from the Foley artists. And so I, I balance just slightly louder than the effects will be in the final mix. So they're a
Right.
healthy volume, but they are balanced. So it's all relative to the dialogue. And then what you're trying to do is not swamp the dialogue. So don't put a car horn halfway through a line of dialogue if it's going to distract the dialogue. You pick where you want your sound to be and what level you want your sound to be. So you can
Right.
just have it, the bell chime in the far distance. So you hardly notice it, but it just adds a bit of texture
That's right. Yeah.
to the background, which is nice. But yeah, you try and do a balance as you're laying the sounds, and then we will take them to a mixing theatre where we'll mix it all properly and get the levels that the director is happy with.
Right. And then you go through what's called an effects premix, don't you?
An effects premix. So it's a little bit of an extension of what I do in my room, only in a mixing theatre, so in a bigger room, so you can, which is more exacting. My speakers, you can see one behind me. That's the
Yeah.
surround speaker. It's sort of relative level to how it would be in a movie theatre. but the movie theatre is the baseline. So how loud that seagull is coming out of the rear speaker in my room, maybe you know when you've laid it, when you play it back in the actual mixing room, that is how loud it will be in every theatre across the world.
Right.
So, so that's what a premix kind of does, and you can hear sounds slightly different. You go, you know what? I don't want that coming out the front speakers. We'll just have the rain pulled back into the middle of the room a little bit,
Right.
to give more space for the dialogues.
And would you liaise with the composer? So, like you're saying about a car chase, so that your effects don't clash with, say, the cymbal, or see what I mean?
Yeah, so they lay temporary music while they're editing an action sequence, say, which could come from CDs from other films, and or the composer may have already done some early work, and so I listen to what they've done to know what frequencies, exactly that, what frequencies they're using. If it's a bright brass filled score, my skids against the soundtrack of skids, I have to change the frequencies so
Oh,
they're
really?
cut
Wow.
through and try and work so we don't clash with the score, exactly that. um, and or another time, it's a period film and there's a chiming bell as we go into the city. I listen to what key the score's in, to either be it in the same key or usually off key, so you hear it. But sometimes they prefer it on key. So um, yeah, so there's a lot of that. Contacting the composers, they're quite protective. It's a very different world to sound effects.
Yeah.
So you have some liaison sometimes, but not many composers really want to. They're not interested really.
Right. So you just
Um,
generally go by the guide they give you.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, and try and work around them. Um, if you watch any big Marvel film, actually, what happens? The score sits in the background and the effects take over, but they're simple effects: bang, hit, crash, wallop,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and then the score does its bit when it needs to for an emotional purpose.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah, but it's a good. It's usually the whole concept of the soundtrack is dialogue, music, effects. So the effects are there, giving you the real sounds, the emotion of the actual sound. The music is giving you the emotion of what the characters are feeling, and of course, the dialogue is what we're all there for anyway. We could all go and watch a film just with dialogue, because it's only the image and the what they're saying really is telling the story, and obviously you've got visual elements, but so the dialogue is always protected. So
Well, Ian, thank you so much for that.
not
I'm
at
sure
all,
everyone's going to be delighted.
not at all.
Really good to see you again, and I
Yes,
look forward to meeting with you again soon.
brilliant. Thank you very much. Cheers,
Cheers,
Paul.
Ian.